Good morning and welcome to the DraftKings Fantasy Soccer Show, brought to you by RotoWire, of course. I'm already mixing up my words here. 9 a.m. for me, middle of the day for Ryan. He said he has to be quiet. His baby is sleeping upstairs, so uh, I'll try and repeat anything he says quietly. But no, it shouldn't be a problem. Ryan, how you doing? I think based off yesterday, you didn't have positive thoughts from yesterday. I want to ask you though, did you end up rostering Mark Cucurella?
No, man, which
Okay.
which helped, but it wasn't enough. And I played a lot of Zaha too. I even played Zaha in the 275, but and I faded Cucurella, but yep, still didn't do well. Man, I hate Chelsea slates. I really hate Chelsea slates. And when you add like James Ward-Prowse in, it's not a coincidence that those are my worst slates. So I mean, I said this a bunch of times last year. So going forward, people should pretty much not listen to me with these Chelsea slates. You do the opposite. But I'm going to come with a little bit different strategies somehow for the next Chelsea slate. There's just there's it's been about 2 years now, and there's no rhyme or reason to a lot of things that happen. I mean, they're very unpredictable. So yeah, anyways, this slate is kind of interesting. I mean, obviously, we got Man City. Yeah, I'll let you break it down. We got Man City monster favorites and a huge implied goal total.
I think I looked at these odds last night. I feel like Manchester City clean sheet was like 53%. And the other teams maybe were Arsenal, Liverpool were above 40, but now I'm seeing here Manchester City clean sheet is now getting closer to 59%, which is Bournemouth levels. I believe they were 60% against Bournemouth a couple weeks ago. And we have Liverpool and Arsenal. Arsenal's implied goal total 1.95. Something I think also has changed because I believe they were above 2 implied goals yesterday. So now we have Liverpool at 2.34, Manchester City 2.91. We got the 3 big favorites. Tottenham, then we have Tottenham at West Ham, favored, 46% chance. Wolverhampton at Bournemouth, who just sacked Scott Parker yesterday, so that's another thing we're dealing with, and they're a 40% favorite. That implied goal total in that match is 2.47. And I think based off that implied goal total, I think we're gonna talk a little bit about that match because those players are pretty cheap. Wolves players are extremely cheap. Definitely gonna talk about a Bournemouth player, at least one Bournemouth player who is cheap as well. So we got the 3 big favorites, and we kind of saw the slate or I guess it was over the weekend, right? And Liverpool won 9-0. Manchester City got 4 goals against Crystal Palace. Can't remember what the third team was, but so what are your initial thoughts here? I
Yeah.
guess let's just start in cash games.
So
yeah, go
cash
ahead.
games, at least cash games, I think is relatively easy. At least the type of construction you're going to go with. We'll break it down, but I mean, City are such big favorites. So like just without looking at any of the other games, it seems like a pretty good idea to get as much City as you can. Like looking at some of the other games, Tottenham and West Ham, there's no cash options in that game. Would you agree with me? I mean, Son's been playing 70 minutes, West Ham, definitely not West Ham players. I mean, they've been a nightmare for as far as like floor points are concerned. So Liverpool, Newcastle, Trent, Alexander-Arnold, and Robertson, their options. So we have some options there. Arsenal, Aston Villa. Really the only option that I see, the only possible option would be Saka because he's, cheaper than we've ever seen him. But, I don't want to gloss over Martinelli. Depending, you might be able to get to Martinelli. He's been showing a really high floor half the set. So I shouldn't say that. Martinelli's definitely, he's in the conversation, maybe. Okay, so 2 players from Arsenal. Then that Bournemouth Wolves game you mentioned, yeah, definitely there. Like Bournemouth is really cheap, and Tavernier or whoever is going to have sets. So I mean, these other games there's not much from them. Like we got Bournemouth and we got Liverpool defenders. So you pretty much just go there and then get as much City. Who those City players are, I mean, that might decide whether you cash or not.
Mystery. That's the mystery.
I don't know. I'm not sure that, I don't know what goes on in the cash streets these days, but I mean, is everyone just going to jam City? I don't know. It seems like maybe not everyone will when this is probably a spot to do it.
Did you play cash yesterday? I couldn't find your lineup.
Man, I'm glad you brought that up because we don't have to say I'm undefeated in cash anymore. Yeah, I did. I did play cash yesterday, and okay. I just, I put a horrible lineup in, to be honest with you.
Okay. Yesterday it was just like a weird cash day.
Well, I shouldn't say I put a horrible lineup in. I think I made some good decisions. But I was more focused on GPPs, and then I ended up only having a half hour to try to hand build lineups because of the staggered start time. So I wasn't thinking about cash at all. And it was a weird slate because maybe we should have talked about it a little, but there ended up being no good defenders. I thought no defenders that I wanted to play, not one on the whole slate. So I was having trouble there. I couldn't decide which Chelsea guy to go with. I don't know. That slate was a nightmare. But I guess the reason I said I played a terrible cash lineup is because I played Kai Havertz, but then I saw that Saramek and a couple other people did as well. I don't know. But anyways, I don't have to be obnoxious and say that I'm undefeated in cash anymore.
All right. Yeah, I had this. I randomly fell onto Pascal's strike yesterday. I'm noticing now that he was 6%. He ended up with 11 points. I ended up on him.
That must have been huge.
Yeah, I ended up on him because I also had Christensen. I had Meslier was my goalkeeper. So I was like, okay, strike is in. I also had the Harrison and Aronson combo.
Yeah, that was nice. Well. That was nice.
And I went with, the options we talked about. Pascal Gross was up near 70% in cash games, and Eze, who was not as popular because of Elise. That somehow that lineup works.
Do you know what Gross and Eze finished with?
They were both 8 points, 8.1,
yeah,
8.2.
So that's annoying. Like I said, I didn't like Gross. I didn't love Eze. I thought it was a mistake to probably do that. And then we got some different lineups. I ended up playing Olise, who did okay. I don't know. He scored 11 or 12. It
was just a weird slate.
Yeah, I didn't end up, I mentioned in the Discord, Harrison's just a guy that I've been under on for a while. And I know people like him. And I think it helped that Everton scored early, but yeah, he did well. I played Aronson, but yeah, anyways, on to this slate.
Okay.
Cucurella, though, since we went back to it.
Yeah. I'm actually looking back at Saturday when we had the big favorites. So just looking at some things, TAA above 80%, Robertson only 26%. In that game, Foden 34%, De Bruyne near 70%, Luis Diaz 20%. That was when Fabinho was 3,400, so he was 41%. I'm seeing here in I think this was a $10 double up single entry. Haaland was 11.4%, so there you go, and he was only 9,700 then. So I think that's pretty relevant here.
I think he would be more popular. I think he will be more popular this time.
Salah 60% at 10.2K.
Okay, well, yeah, there you go. I mean, wouldn't you? I'd expect Haaland if he starts to be 50% this time.
Yeah, Alisson 26%. You stuck in Mahrez at 6.1%.
That was that. I mean, that I hated that play, by the way, and it just didn't even matter.
And it was your worst one. So yeah, just looking based off that. So we have the question. We have to get to this question of Haaland or Alvarez. So if Haaland starts at 11.2K, do you think he's going to be popular in cash games? I think he's still going to be why wouldn't people just go to Salah for whatever he is, 1K cheaper when Haaland is 1K more? Do you just think of the matchups or?
I mean, if you're just asking me, there's no way I would play Salah over Haaland. No, okay. I would. I mean, look at the goal odds. Minus 330 is outrageous. I mean, it's outrageous. You'd be Haaland to score 2 goals must be a favorite, right? I mean,
he was probably minus 350 against Bournemouth. So I
don't care what he was against Bournemouth. I mean, I I just could never play Salah over Haaland. I do think he will be relatively popular. Like if he starts and if KDB starts, I don't see like you just go KDB, Haaland, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and cheap Bournemouth value. I mean, that's what I would do. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you don't sound like you want to play him. Like I know, like it's a crazy price to pay for a center forward in cash. Like I don't think it's necessary.
Right.
You could play Foden and Bernardo Silva or whoever the other two Man City players are. That might be even better.
Mm-hmm. I think it's just too much because if you get Haaland in your team, that's basically saying you don't want De Bruyne,
No,
or you want, or your second defender is someone cheaper, right? Like, are you actually fitting De Bruyne, Haaland, TAA, and Robertson in your lineup?
yeah, no, definitely not Robertson.
Okay, yeah. So
But
you've got
that's
to
fine.
spend down at your second defender.
Yeah, definitely because Robertson, going 69 minutes again and 63 minutes. And this matchup against Newcastle is not like some smash spot or something. I mean, Robertson, he's a good play. Like I'd like to have him, but I don't know. Like I want to get as much City as possible. And I think I'd be okay sacrificing Robertson.
Okay. Okay, and then the other part of this is that if Julian Alvarez starts, you got to think he's going to be over 50% in cash games, right? I mean,
I mean,
5,900 starting forward.
he should be 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If Julian Alvarez starts, he's like almost in before TAA just because of the price.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to be the first guy in, I think.
Right. I mean, it's minus 170, which is I'm not sure what to compare that to when he's 5,900. There is no
Yeah, like
comparison.
look at the prices on City, and he's like by far cheaper than everyone. I mean, he's the same price as Rodri.
That that explains everything. So
Yeah. So like, yeah, if he starts, like he's the first one in, even for cash. Yeah.
so if you aren't going to Holland and he starts, we have Foden at 8,700, Bernardo Silva at 8,400, Mahrez 8,300. So I said this over the weekend, but I didn't think Mahrez was going to start. That being the case, I don't think Mahrez is going to start again because he doesn't usually start a lot of back-to-backs on short weeks. And if that happens, Bernardo Silva could play in a front three again, which I think is relevant. He started in the front three a week and a half ago, I want to say, but he's up there at 8,400. That does seem kind of expensive for him, but would either of those guys be in consideration for cash games? I guess
I think
Foden
so.
more so.
Yeah, I think so. And
Okay.
I haven't been a Bernardo Silva guy in the past, but starting in the front three, yeah, and pretty good price tag. Like I would want to play. It's just about getting the exposure to City. I mean, this isn't like as good of a matchup as Bournemouth, but all of the attackers just their floors they have much higher floors than usual. City just dominate these games so much and have all the possession and create all the chances.
Yeah, it's
I
Nottingham
mean,
Forest have played well at times, but I think some of that is just based off, the home crowd back in the Premier League. Like, I think that goes into some of it. And on the other end of that, Bournemouth have looked noticeably worse than Nottingham Forest, but I'm not sure how much that matters against Manchester City. So,
yeah, I don't think it matters. Like City are just too good. They
right.
really are. They're just too good. They're that much better than everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, Forest are another team who, they added 18 players or whatever. So we're going to see rotation from them. And it's like, how much of these guys even played together? We also have that to deal with. So let's just go down the forward list. Jared Bowen, 7,700. He's definitely off the table for me.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever he did on Sunday, he put up 6.1 points. West Ham are just struggling overall in general to score. Yeah, I mean, just for cash games, like you said, it's kind of You got these Man City guys. You probably want those guys over the Liverpool guys. But as we're going to comment here, I do agree that, Newcastle are dealing with some injuries. Like Bruno's not going to be there in the midfield, and having, Longstaff in the midfield over Bruno is not the same thing. And then you also have injuries
St.
here and
Max.
there. Yeah, St. Maximin probably not ready to play. Callum Wilson, we know he's out.
So this might
Trippier
be a spot
might
where
not start.
Newcastle, they might just sort of give up here.
Right, just accept defeat kind of a thing. So, I mean, we could look at the lineup, and if something weird is out there, like if Trippier's not starting as well, that kind of a thing, then maybe
Yeah.
you can convince yourself to go Liverpool in cash games kind of a thing. But
I mean, yeah, like not in cash games, but those are good points for tournaments. Like, how does Salah feel? How does Salah feel after Liverpool scored 9 and he didn't even get an assist, much less a goal? I mean, how crazy was that? Yeah,
that is
this
not
could
good.
be a better spot. Like if Newcastle's not at full strength, yeah, they're gonna struggle in this spot.
So you mentioned Saka, 7,100. He's kind of intriguing, a decent matchup, but not an overly great matchup, I guess. This isn't Nottingham Forest. Like Aston Villa, even though they've struggled to start the season, they're still a real team. A real
Right.
team. But
They're still a real team.
so I think if you don't go with like the Man City guys, it's almost like you just kind of go down. You kind of dinky down here. Who else is down here? Then we get to the Wolves guys. I guess that's what it comes to, right? We're looking at the Wolves guys here. Raul Jimenez, 5,100.
Yeah, I don't know if I
Plus
don't know
160 to score.
Yeah, it's okay. Like it's okay. I don't know if I'd want to do that. Who else is down here?
Well,
Like,
you got all those Wolves guys. So whoever starts, you got. I mean, I don't want to use Heat-Chan and Cash, but
no.
it's a slight chance Traore starts. We have Joel Inton at
I mean, you
4,300
could definitely use Traore.
at Liverpool.
Jimenez, I don't know. Like if they were playing literally anyone in the Premier League besides Bournemouth, I don't think you could
Then you
use
wouldn't
him.
use him.
I mean, he doesn't have a floor, but like, man, how bad are Bournemouth? I mean, the squad is really bad. Like they have no chance. So I don't know if you think Wolves are gonna, score a few goals, then it's fine. But it's still a bit risky. Yeah, it might be better to not play Haaland and play Foden and Bernardo Silva / Mahrez. I mean, they're the same price, so whoever starts, it doesn't matter.
It's almost like if you have Haaland, if you have De Bruyne, if you have TAA, it's almost like you have to almost punt at both forward and second defender, right?
Yeah, you do if you play all three of those guys. So you would need a punt, So I guess I shouldn't, if Raul Jimenez isn't is it, like if he's the only one, maybe I would maybe do it. I don't love it, but there's got someone else will pop up. There's going to be rotation, right?
Right.
But I don't know who. Like a Jaden Anthony. I don't know. Like someone like that. 4K took some set pieces. Like just someone that has a floor. I don't know. It can kind of be anyone. If like I don't know if City started Haaland and KDB, I would want both of them, and I would want Trent. So I would try to make it work, but I don't know.
I think that if we don't get too much, I mean, we'll see what happens. But if Jimenez is starting, I think people will look at Bournemouth. They'll look at Jimenez's goal odds. They'll see him at 5,100. I think he'll get plenty of consideration just because there isn't really someone that stands out cheaper than him.
Yeah.
You look at the other side like Kiefer Moore or Solanke or something like
maybe
that.
It's more okay than I thought.
Because as I said, I mean, there's not much below him, and then whatever is above him, like you're looking at, I guess obviously Julian Alvarez up here, but there's not much even in the near price range. So
maybe you don't play both of Haaland and KDB. I don't know. Maybe you're sacrificing too much if there's not enough punts, but I don't know. You might be able to. We might have enough value from from Bournemouth. Depends on the lineups.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Like,
just for tournaments, would you want to stack two of these forwards, two Liverpool forwards, two Man City forwards, kind of a thing, or go with one of those guys and then and then go for a cheaper goal, kind of a thing? Or I guess two Arsenal guys too. I guess that's technically in play.
I think for GPPs is tough this week. I think one strategy would be to stack Liverpool or to stack Arsenal. People just aren't going to do that, and both of those teams are capable of scoring 5. Even Arsenal, the reason I mentioned, Saka's cheap, and you mentioned Villa. Villa are a decent team, or they're, it's not one of these matchups against Forest or Bournemouth, but this Arsenal team is better now, and they're playing well. So they can score goals in bunches, especially at home against Villa. So stacking them. I think City too, though. You can just stack City and go for, try to get a little different, a lower own goal from somewhere. I mean, no one is going to play this Tottenham West Ham game and just one player from that game. I don't want to, I'm not the type to stack that game up or anything. Maybe the guys that play 150 lineups do stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, these, okay. So a common build and an easy build, you can just stack City and play go for a cheap goal in the Bournemouth Wolves game. I mean, you just mentioned the Wolves have cheap forwards. Well, everyone on Bournemouth is cheap. So, I mean, Kiefer Moore could score. Solanke could score. I mean, so I feel like that'll be a relatively popular thing to do. Play a couple Bournemouth guys and a lot of City guys. So really anything different than that, and you're not going to have a problem getting leverage.
Yeah, I went back to Saturday slate. It was the third match. The third favorite was Chelsea home against Leicester City, and they were not popular. So I think Aston Villa is going to go into that spot of just being a not popular team. There's a chance they don't live
Arsenal,
up to the
you
odds.
mean? Arsenal?
Sorry, Arsenal. Yeah.
I mean, remember the first slate of the season was relatively similar, and nobody played Gabriel Jesus, and I think he scored 50 fantasy points or something.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just trying to think of all these games.
I know.
But yeah. Okay.
It was that City Bournemouth, right? And Arsenal, or maybe that was the second slate. I don't know. Whatever. But yeah, those Arsenal guys are going to go under owned, and all of their attacking four can put up 25 points. We've already seen it from everybody except Saka, and of course Saka can do it.
Yeah, we also have the rotation possibilities. It seems like whenever Smith Rowe, or at least last season, whenever Smith Rowe stepped onto the pitch, he was fine in the back of the net. There's a chance he starts. I think also if Lokanga starts in the midfield there, it's just a different midfield for Arsenal. I know they're playing well, but
yeah, no, you're right.
You lose Party, you lose El Neni, that's kind of hurts them a little bit. So I do want to point that out.
Yep. Losing Party, yeah, that's a loss, if they don't control the midfield as much like that.
So yeah, that's kind of the move in forward. There's a ton of guys. There's 5 games. There's a ton of guys who are going to be sub 10%. So there's a chance Richarlison starts. You got Goncalo Guedes is 8,000, which is 3,000 more than his teammates. You have these spots where you could see a guy like Guedes getting on the score sheet a couple times if Bournemouth are still really bad without Scott Parker, kind of a thing. So there's guys a ton of guys where you can see them scoring.
Sorry, yeah. I agree. No, this is an interesting question in the chat right here. Do you prefer Gundogan or Saka? They're the same price. I feel like if you asked the DraftKings soccer players, you would get a lot of different answers for this question. And just
Well,
go ahead and take a look at their goal scoring odds quickly.
This is only for midfield because Gundogan is not forward eligible.
Right, just in general. I mean, who do you prefer? Who's going to score more points?
They're exactly the same. So
right, same goal scoring odds. So I you'd get a lot of. I think you'd get different answers from some of the better players.
If it's midfield, I'd go Gundogan, just because of the matchup.
What does it matter?
Well, Gundogan's midfield only.
Right, but you can play Saka there too.
Well, obviously, it's just forward. When you're considering Saka at forward, you can't consider Gundogan, is what I'm saying.
Okay, but I mean, okay. I don't know that necessarily matters.
We're talking forwards here.
I think he's just talking. Who do you prefer?
This is what.
Who's gonna win you? Who's gonna win you $10,000? Gundogan or Saka?
Gundogan is. Actually, no. Yeah. Maybe Saka. He's not going to be. Wait, who's going to be more popular? I don't know. This question is too difficult.
Told you it's a tough question. If you're asking me, I mean, definitely Saka, and I will have more Saka on Sunday, assuming they both start. I would even play. I mean, in cash, I guess it's close, but I'd still play Saka over Gundogan in cash.
Okay.
Just because. Yeah, he's got a better floor. He takes sets and utility spot. Yeah, he's got a better floor. He takes sets, and we still hold on. Have Arsenal got a penalty yet this season? Because Saka took the last penalty in preseason. Just I don't think so. I don't know. I can't think off the top of my head if they've had one yet. Maybe Martinelli made one. I don't remember. I have to take a look at that. But anyways. I would slightly prefer Saka, but obviously if you're just loading City and want Gundogan as part of the stack, that's fine too. That's why I said you get a lot of different answers for that question.
No PKs, but yeah,
no PKs in tournament. Yet. So look, Saka took the last PK. I don't know though, but other guys also took them during the summer. So I don't know.
In tournaments, I would say Saka as well, just because he's going to be less popular. That's just what we mentioned. The Arsenal guys are just going to be less popular in general.
And again, here's something I could be wrong about this. This is, I guess, sort of opinion type stuff, but I think Saka is more likely to score 2 goals. And I mean, when for 7K, you're still looking for 2 goals in tournaments. I mean, you want guys with ceilings. I'm not saying Gundogan doesn't have a ceiling. We've seen him do that too, and he gets multiple assists, of course. Just my opinion.
Yeah, someone is commenting that I think Gundogan averages 45 minutes versus 85 minutes for Saka, which
that's definitely something to consider as well.
I don't think it is. He's averaging when Gundogan came off the bench.
Right, not this season. I mean this season plus all of last season.
Okay. All right. I mean, so
Saka rarely ever came off before 80 minutes.
Yeah. Saka definitely is like a favorite of the club. He's not going to be coming off unless it's like a 3-0 result, and at that point he could have a goal and assist. So
pretty much.
Midfielders, we got De Bruyne here, 10.4K. You said last show, 3 weeks ago, you said don't play him. Last show you said, or Saturday show you said you almost always play him. So I think De Bruyne, 10.4K. Home against Nottingham Forest, the third best odds probably of any starters to score, plus 100. You got to think that he is 60% in cash games, 70% in cash games, or is that too high?
Doesn't seem too high to me. Okay. Yeah, right. Like he's got to be one of the first guys in. I wouldn't fade him. I don't know. Would you?
Not in cash games.
Not in cash games.
There's no reason.
Tournaments is definitely a different story. Just strictly for cash games, I just don't see how you can.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a chance that he doesn't make the score sheet. He has no goals and 1 assist in the last 2 games. City have 7 goals from those games. I mean, there's always a chance which is why it's fine to not use him in tournaments, because
Right.
Obviously, there could be Gundogan could get a brace, Silva could get a brace, anyone else could get a brace on Man City. So,
and we've seen many times, City have 4 goals in the 60th minute and De Bruyne gets subbed with 10 floor points. That happens all the time. So, it didn't happen much last year, but that does happen. So yeah, for tournaments you can fade him. For cash games, I don't think you can.
So you go down the list. It's it's a weird slate where you got De Bruyne, and then it's like, who else do you want? A lot of these other guys are forward eligible, so I'm not sure you're going to be using them in midfield, depending on the situation. Like you have Pedro Neto at 7,500, which I'm not sure you need to or should want to spend on him right
He
here.
really disappointed me last weekend, but yeah, I don't think you can. I don't think you can do that on this slate.
I mean, a split of sets at Bournemouth, 7,500.
It's a great matchup, so I think it's a better tournament play.
You keep going down. You got Odegaard here, not a cash play.
Mm-hmm.
Harvey Elliott is slowly getting up there in price, 6,100. So he's almost reaching like this cutoff here of.
Yeah.
Do you want him at 6,100? He went off.
No, too much uncertainty at that price for cash. But yeah, definitely a good tournament play because he's got upside.
Yeah, he went off at half because he had a minor issue that was precautionary, and if it was a close match, he would have kept playing, according to Klopp.
That was pretty annoying too. That was pretty annoying for me, but
right. Yeah, I had him a lot.
I mean, yeah, that was a 20K difference, and the winning lineup didn't have Harvey Elliott. That's the one I lost by like 0.4 or something. Anyways.
So going down, Rodri and McGinn are the same price. These are not cash plays. There's a chance I think in coming matches Cole Palmer could start. That'll mix some things up. Pep recently pointed him out is the only reason I think that's a possibility. So something to look at. Just another Man City player that's cheaper at 5,600. I think he usually plays in the front three, but we'll see if that actually happens. What else do we got in cash games? It's like De Bruyne, and then you kind of go down. You have to go down to like 5K and cheaper almost, right?
Right. I think since you need all this money for City, you just got to play Tavernier for Bournemouth. Marcus Tavernier, right? He takes majority of sets, okay. Bournemouth have just played against City, Arsenal, and Liverpool. I mean, that's an absolute nightmare. So, I mean, these guys, while Bournemouth isn't good, they're not quite that bad. And these guys are priced too cheaply. So like Tavernier starts, he's just a lock in cash games. It's just too cheap. I mean,
yeah. Did you watch Kits and Wagers we had earlier in the week? I made the same argument for Bournemouth here.
Yeah, you giving them hope in this match?
Well, yeah, it's just like they played 3 of the best teams in the league back to back to back. Like, how much can we actually put in this?
This is the time to show up, right? I mean, and they're not that bad back at home.
Obviously, I'm worried that Scott Parker's gone, but
yeah, is that good or bad? Probably good. I don't know about for this specific match.
Yeah, 2 days later after his sacking, so.
This guy is Neves.
Ran over Ruben Neves, but he's 5,700. I'm not sure about cash games. I mean, why is he more expensive than Jimenez? Just because like he's going to take a shot from 30 yards out? Probably not a cash move. So I'd play him under 5K, but right here at 5,700.
Yeah, I don't think it's a cash move. A better tournament move. Because, he's been taking those direct free kicks, and he scored with one recently, and he might have pens, to be honest. I'm not sure. Is it him or Jimenez? I know Neves was taking them without Jimenez.
I'd assume it's Jimenez.
Yeah. But anyways, still a better tournament play than, not for cash. I mean, you just got to go down and play Tavernier.
It's almost like there's only 2 options in cash. It's like De Bruyne and Tavernier here.
Tavernier, whatever. I don't know. I get confused.
I guess we could also look at other Wolves guys here if you need to save more money. Like Matinho's 4,000. Matheus Nunez is 4,300. Like you have these Wolves guys. I guess if you need to save another couple hundred, you got Wolves guys who are favored. So that's that's there if you want it.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right though. Like, you know, Nunez being 1,400 cheaper than Neves, like Nunez would be okay for cash. Like, like if you needed a punt for that price, he plays 90 minutes and it's a great matchup. I just, what's more important is the price on this slate. So you're looking for what, Marco? No, I'm not. I'm not undefeated in cash anymore, Marco. Thank you.
Missed the beginning of the show.
I am a cash donkey.
So last slate we talked heavily about Fabinho. Do we look at? I mean, I assume people are going to be looking at those Liverpool midfielders again because they're down here. Henderson's 3,600. I think he's more likely to be subbed off early, but you got Fabinho now at 3,500. You got to assume guys are going to be considering those midfielders just because of how cheap they are, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I was considering it myself and I didn't love it, to be honest. I don't know, but like
this is only cash, right? You're not playing these guys in tournaments.
No. Okay. Yeah, I was looking for, is there anyone in the low 3K range that I could punt? Fabinho, yeah, I don't love it. I don't know, like if Ryan Christie started for 3,300, I'd be willing to do that. But to be honest, like I don't think Fabinho is better than any of these other guys, really. Not in this match. It's not like
only about the price. Only about the price.
Yeah, right. It's only about the price, right? So I just like, yeah, Fabinho's fine, but someone else is fine too if you want someone else.
One thing comes out to me here, not a cash move, just something. This Elliot Anderson for Newcastle has played pretty well for them. There's a chance he starts. He's a young guy. I know he's only played 6 minutes in the Premier League, but I think he started in their cup match, played pretty well. Just someone here, 3,100. We've seen Liverpool allow goals, so just like some sneaky thing that no one's gonna consider. I think he deserves a 10-second shout. So there you go.
Okay. Yeah.
Does anything else stand out in midfield
down here? And no, not really. But like just.
So what do you think for tournaments? Like we discussed pretty heavily cash games, De Bruyne to Vernier. What do we want in tournaments here? I guess it's kind of the same conversation what we had because a lot of these guys are midfield forward eligible, right?
Yeah. So no, sorry. Say that again. I was reading this guy's question. Say that again.
Yeah, I mean we can get to that. So he's asking about you ended with Liverpool stacks and faded Manchester City, but I think I can answer that. Like Manchester City were against Crystal Palace and Liverpool were against Bournemouth, and I think we both thought Liverpool had better chance to go off and score 9 goals. Right. So
I absolutely love those slates. I loved that spot, and it like turned out. It's because it's easy to say now because the results showed it, but
yeah,
those spots to me are like quite different. That was an unbelievable spot for Liverpool at home, like needing to bounce back. City were playing against a better team, and then not only that is what happens is people think it's like an equal spot kind of. So like the ownership is like equal. Where like, yeah, I think you're looking for those spots. So yeah, I mean, I'm glad you brought that up. I had 92% Roberto Firmino, and he was 15% owned. So like and I had 100% TAA. So right there, like 97% of my lineup started with 90 points, and just off and running. But yeah, do I see any similarities today? I mean, yeah, kind of. Like City should just smash here. That's why it's so hard to avoid them in cash. But like that's why these City slates have been a nightmare. They're a bit different now because of Haaland. We don't know if Haaland's going to start again. Like when lineups come out, the slate changes a lot. But yeah, I guess I don't know. Chime in. I kind of lost my train of thought.
You have some similarities, but the difference is that like people are already glued to Manchester City.
Right, like you always think that about City. So like that was different because like this was playing someone instead of City or like in a
Right.
better spot than City. That's rare. I mean, City are in these spots all the time, against a weaker team.
Now
So yeah,
City are in the
this
spot.
is different. This to answer your question is more similar to I forget, it was the first or second slate. We brought it up where Gabriel Jesus scored 50 points or whatever. Pretty much no one played him. He won Jordan a king of the pitch ticket. So yeah, this is where you're looking for a hat trick from one of these other guys. So yeah, for one of these other guys that isn't going to get as much ownership. So whether that's the Arsenal guys, whether that's Liverpool, not counting Salah, so maybe other Liverpool guys, or whether you really want to go crazy and play like Harry Kane or Son, or like this guy said, Kulusevski. I wouldn't call it crazy. Those guys aren't going to be owned. Like it's something that I'm not really going to do, but that's an option. Like that's the way to win these slates is with like a low owned brace or a low owned hat trick. And then with the right City guys, at least that's what I've done in the past. Of course, Jordan would talk about stacking Arsenal or stacking Liverpool, and maybe City only score 2 goals and Liverpool or Arsenal score 5. That happens too. You can go about it a few different ways.
Yeah, I think even in that Liverpool slate, I think it was I must have had Foden and De Bruyne, and like neither one of those guys went off, but like I was still basically, in the cash, in line to win in cash. And then I already mentioned I went Ederson over Alisson, but I
Sorry,
guess
I just want to say something that can maybe help some people out. So
sure.
about how I was evaluating that Liverpool slate. So I thought they were going to smash. So did you. So did a lot of people. We didn't think 9 goals, but we thought 4 or 5. Okay. So you look at the forwards in that game. Salah was, over 10K, right? Diaz 81 and Firmino 71. So not only is Firmino incredibly cheap, but he's going to be lower owned. So to me, that's like crazy. Like that's crazy because, in a way, I think of it as like all 3 of them have very similar odds to be the highest scoring, one of the 3. Like, yeah, it's Salah, like for the most part, of course, like he's going to do it maybe a little bit more often. But when you combine ownership in, that's what makes Firmino an unbelievable play at like 15% when he has a very similar chance to hit a ceiling as Salah, or like an easy path to beat him when there's going to be a lot of goals. So that was what I was thinking with the high ownership on Firmino in that spot.
Yeah, it's almost like if Haaland starts, that you can actually just take that route with like Foden and Bernardo Silva, because people are going to go Haaland, so
Right,
just go with the other City guys
right.
instead.
Yeah, that's a good. Glad you brought that up. That's a
I mean,
good
that's
way
what
to stack. A good way to stack City for tournaments would be to stack them without Haaland if he started.
that's what we saw against Bournemouth. They went 4-0. Haaland, I don't think, made the score sheet kind of thing. So, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we just saw
Yeah,
it, so obviously it's
that's what
possible.
happened. I played like 90% Haaland and 10% KDB and lost all my money.
All right, there you go. So what I said before this is like the tournament move just similar to forward, because we have a ton of, dual eligible guys at midfield and forward, and it's like you're kind of stacking one side here. Granted, you're probably still spending down. Are you still looking at a guy like Tavernier in tournaments just because he's 4,500?
Yeah, because I think he has enough upside. You do want some upside. So the Bournemouth forwards I'm looking at too, Kiefer Moore, Solanke for sure. But I do think Tavernier, he's got assist upside, and he, depending on the formation, he was playing pretty attacking in some of the recent matches. So he might have more upside than people think.
Does he have more or less upside than James Tavernier?
Honestly, like probably less. I mean, James is taking pens, and taking all the free kicks. But yeah, no, I think Tavernier, yeah, he's underpriced in this spot, even for tournaments. So I'll have some in tournaments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you look at the odds, and like Wolverhampton favored over 30% clean sheet odds. Like, I think those clean sheet odds maybe were better than any other team on yesterday's slate, almost.
Yep, they would have been.
So I don't know. We'll see. There's obviously a lot of public hate toward Bournemouth after just getting smoked by 3 straight
Yep.
teams, but still worried about the manager situation. But I don't know. It's just something where it's like Bournemouth are not just gonna like give up on the rest of the season
Right.
and
Like
lose every game going forward.
they're definitely not as bad as the public perception right now. That they just played a nightmare 3 games.
So defender, TAA 7.6K. We're plugging him in cash games, right? I mean,
I am.
He's down in
Yeah.
price. I know it's against Newcastle, whatever, but Newcastle are banged up. Even if they weren't banged up, he's
Even
still
if they weren't.
7.6K. Yeah.
Yeah. He's a little too cheap. Yeah. Liverpool are going to have most of the possession, create a bunch of chances, and have set pieces. It's a pretty good spot no matter what lineup Newcastle rolls out. So, yeah, definitely want Alexander-Arnold just because, you know, at least for me, and I know for, there was a consideration like, you know, you could save some money and play Robertson instead. I mean, for me, clearly not anymore with Robertson getting subbed. And it's not just that, it's that TAA is just better anyways, like considerably better from a fantasy point per minute standpoint.
From a fantasy perspective.
Yeah, from a fantasy perspective. Robertson is a great real life player.
We've all seen the highlights of TAA trying to defend, okay?
Right.
So my take here is if Tsimikas starts, I want to use him. If Robertson starts, I don't want to use him. So Robertson, if he starts, we've been seeing him getting subbed off pretty frequently, every match just about. If Tsimikas starts, I don't think he's going to be subbed off because I think it's a situation, where Robertson is just going to be completely arrested. So
I'm with you.
Not to mention, I think Tsimikas actually crosses more than Robertson anyway. So
yep, I think Tsimikas is a little bit more fantasy friendly, and I think he would probably play 90. So I'm with you.
Okay. So if Tsimikas doesn't start, we still have a second defender to find here. There's not really much. I guess what we mentioned earlier was, spending down on your second defender isn't the worst idea. Like we have Trippier at Liverpool, Lucadinha at Arsenal. Cancelo is Cancelo.
I got to be honest. For me, it's Cancelo or nothing. It's Cancelo or all the way down. Like if you're stacking City in tournaments, I would want to have some Cancelo. You don't have to, but it's a nice price tag. So yeah, for me, it's him or go all the way down. Or maybe, if you can afford it, you in cash now, you could play one of those City center backs. They're cheap enough.
Are we at a point where we're not even considering Cancelo for cash games?
I wouldn't say that. No, not
just because of his upside.
No, okay, right. But no, if you didn't play Haaland, then he could be in consideration. If he's another City piece, it's just more City exposure. And not if he was, 6,500 like last year, maybe, but it's a pretty good price. So I don't know. What if instead of playing Haaland, you played Foden, Bernardo Silva, and Cancelo? I think that's fine.
Yeah, I think if it was the first match of the season, and Man City were home against Nottingham Forest, Cancelo would be like 7K. But he's had a slow start to the season. He hasn't made the score sheet. He's 5,400.
And if it was the first match of the season and he was 5,400, he'd be pretty popular.
Right.
So yeah, that tells you something.
He's definitely, I guess he's a consideration for cash games, but he also may not be as popular as you expect in GPPs just because of what he's done. People are going to look at that.
Right.
Even though City are scoring goals, he's not really doing anything. So.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's fine in GPPs too. And if somehow, anyway, it might be irrelevant, but if somehow you ended with Cancelo at util at flex in cash games, that could be okay too, depending if there's an okay punt defender that you like.
Would you want Cancelo or Raul Jimenez?
Yeah, honestly, probably Cancelo. Yeah, Cancelo for cash. Yeah, definitely.
Tournaments, you'd want Jimenez.
Yeah, probably. I mean, again, it might depend on the rest of your lineup, but yeah, I mean, Jimenez is, I think, a better tournament play.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, honestly, you go down and it's either there's two Liverpool guys, Cancelo, or like a Man City
I
center
guess,
back.
yeah, okay, so I do like Jimenez and that price tag, but like why I was hesitant on him, when we were talking about him at the start is it seems like he's not so much the main man as he used to be. Like it doesn't shock you. It's not going to shock you if he gets subbed. And he used to go 90 every time. And like they just signed Sasa Kaladzic. I doubt he'll be on the bench, but I don't know if it's quite the same Raul Jimenez. I do like the price tag and the matchup though.
I still think he's pretty, at least
Like
when he's on the field, like he's still a focal point.
Yeah, no, yeah, I agree. I think his range of outcomes is wide, obviously, which is why I
Hmm.
like for cash.
Yeah, it's the thing with the Wolves is like whenever it seems like in the past couple of years, whenever Jimenez hasn't been there, they've just struggled scoring. I mean, granted, they've also struggled to score when he's been playing lately. But
Yeah.
so
So yeah, Javier's question. Yeah, we touched on Nunez briefly. I think you can play him in cash or tournaments. Yeah. You mentioned that he took some sets. Yeah, and he does have enough upside. I've seen him get in the box a couple times. He actually should have scored uh, maybe on his debut. I think it was on his debut.
yeah, the debut.
But so yeah, he's okay in any format.
Would you like his upside more than Matinho's?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. But yeah, John Stone's 3,400, Ruben Diaz 3,300. Like if you're not spending up at both your defender spots, those guys are too cheap for what 60% clean sheet chance.
Yeah,
So
I mean, yeah, definitely. I would say that like, oh, Ruben Diaz, getting subbed in the 60th minute 2 out of 4 matches, like gave me pause is all I would say. If I would have clicked on Ruben Diaz and saw 90 all 4 matches, I'd probably just jam him in cash. I mean, you still probably can, but City have signed like other guys now. I don't know. You got a take on that?
I don't think so. I don't think Ake is going to be back for this one. I don't know if they even have another center back here because
Okay.
they used Kyle Walker. I think they started him at center back in their cup match, or maybe it was
Sergio
their.
Gomez?
He's more of a fullback.
Yeah, he's more of a fullback. Okay.
So I think they started Kyle Walker at center back, like in that Barcelona friendly last week.
Uh,
Um, I, I mean, I think it's going to be like an 18-year-old. Maybe
yeah,
it's
I
like
know. Yeah,
Wilson Ebrand might be a center back.
I see. Yeah, maybe this. Yeah. Anyways, they're too cheap. Yeah,
Hmm.
they're good cash plays.
Right,
Definitely.
you got Van Dyke at 4K. It's like
Yeah, I would.
why
Yeah,
just
this is
go
better
to.
than that. So
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the move. Like, do you
yeah.
want to mention any other defender here?
Um, sure. I'll mention one for tournaments. Um, same price as those City guys. Better chance at an assist. Zamora for Bournemouth. Not a good play, like not like anything special. Just if you're playing some Bournemouth, if you're playing Solanke or Kiefer Moore, there's a decent chance that he could assist to them. That's all. So it's a tournament play.
Yeah, it's the same. I mean, these Bournemouth guys are probably at minimum a few hundred underpriced just because of the matchups. So, I mean, sorry, just because of the recent games.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Like he's a 4K player, this guy.
Right.
So
Yeah. So that is probably it. We got a question, Isak to start for Newcastle. Probably not. He's been training a couple times, and Eddie Howe said yesterday that he still didn't know if he was going to be eligible to play.
mm,
5,600 anyway is too expensive at Liverpool. He's probably, if he starts, he's going to play 60, 70 minutes, if that. So I don't see a reason to use him. But You got a thought on Isak?
Yeah, he wouldn't be in my lineups. I'm
No.
just with 5 games to choose from. I'm not looking for anybody away to Liverpool.
No.
You can get some, on another slate maybe, but you'll be able to get low owned guys in better spots, like quite a few low owned guys in better spots.
Jimenez.
I don't know. Right. I mean, Jimenez won't be low. I don't think he won't be low owned, but
Right. Well,
he's definitely in a better spot.
Mm-hmm. All right, so goalkeeper, we're at. Let me refresh this page. See if the.
Sorry. When we were on the defender, just because it's stuck in my head,
go ahead.
I wanted to just about Cucurella yesterday. We questions in here about evaluating slates, and I mean that's one thing that I thought was relatively simple. Like Chelsea start a 4-3-3 like that. Cucurella is 6,800, and not only that, but Ziyech is in there. So, like, there's a real chance that he's not going to take any set pieces.
My mind was blown that he was 40%.
It's mind-blowing, honestly. Like, it's mind-blowing. Like, put it this way. Would you pay 6,800 for Azpilicueta in a 4-3-3? Now, I know it's not the same thing, but even say Azpilicueta was going to split sets. Would you pay 6,800 for him? The formation is a big deal because, like, what those Chelsea guys do, like, it changes his open play upside a ton if he's playing on the wing or in a back four. So, like, if Ziyech wouldn't have started and then, you were sure Cucurella would take those left-footed sets because he's the only left-footed player in there, then you play him in cash. But, like, there was 3 big things going against him: the formation, the price, and Ziyech. So then, like, yeah, it's you can figure that one out. You just get off of him.
To jump off that, I will say rotowire.com/Discord. If for some reason you were on Cucurella yesterday, go into our Discord. We talk about this stuff. Ryan came on and said none of these Chelsea guys are musts in cash anymore because of the formation.
I'll try to get in there a little bit more often. I didn't say too many helpful things yesterday, but yeah.
You still,
right.
You still said.
Chelsea, the Chelsea, that was the most important matchup of the slate. So I just, gave some quick thoughts.
Yeah, I also look back at last season and I pretty much said Cucurella probably not going to be taking set pieces. It was pretty clear to me. Like, it was pretty clear to you, but
it's on looking back at it now. Again, these things are easy to say in hindsight when you see what's happened, but it's a huge edge when you can fade an expensive defender who's not a good play and who's going to be owned. So, like, all of that stuff, when you can fade a defender that's going to carry ownership for 6,800, that's big. So, yeah.
Goalkeeper. So we got Ederson at 6K. I know Jordan would say, I can hear him, Ederson is underpriced. He should be 7K. Clean sheet odds are near 60%. But do you have enough money for Ederson at 6K?
Yeah, I mean, well, you definitely don't if you're playing Haaland, or Haaland and KDB. So, like, again, it's one of those things that depends on that. If you might not anyways, to be honest. You might just not. But if you're not playing Haaland, it's not the worst idea to use that money for a free, winning clean sheet. Not necessarily, but good chance.
Yeah, sorry. It makes sense to go in your second defender spot, use Diaz, use Stones, and then use Ederson. Like, I think that's the move right there.
I mean, that's definitely, like, if you get that 13 extra points on people who don't do that, yeah, that's huge for cash.
And then, Taiwo Awoniyi will score in stoppage time of a 4-0 game kind of a thing. But besides that happening, you can get those 13 points.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see them scoring either, but they're more dangerous than Bournemouth. They looked okay with Gibbs White and Dennis now, at least. But yeah, I don't see them scoring either. But
right. Otherwise, I mean, why would you go with Alisson when you can go Ederson? Why would you go? I guess Ramsdale's 400 cheaper, but still rather go Ederson in the spot.
Yeah,
almost 20% clean sheet odds better. So it's like, why go with those guys?
I mean, in tournaments, Alisson and Ramsdale, definitely.
Sure.
not only because they're less popular, but they have higher ceilings as well because, they can get 4 or 5 saves if certain ththings happen.
Reese, Jose Sa. So if you're not on
I like
Ederson,
Fabianski to cut to the
Fabianski.
chase.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, these cheaper guys are fine. Sure, I'm just not the guy who does that. I said last time that, Travers or the Forest guy, they could and should, get a bunch of saves, but they can also score neg 6, neg 8 pretty easily. And, a Fabianski, though it's unlikely, a West Ham win clean sheet, I can see that. You can see that totally. I mean, West Ham haven't been playing well. Tottenham have been playing okay, but just, I don't know. That wouldn't surprise me at all.
I went back. Bournemouth had a 4.15 chance to win at Liverpool, and Nottingham Forest are at 3.11% chance to win at Manchester City. Just a comparison.
There you go. Yeah. And, just so other little reasons why, like, I just, again, this is goalkeeper, but why I choose a guy like Fabianski. Kane and Son take shots from outside the box that don't go in and result in saves quite a bit. So just like little stuff like that. And then also, it's probably just going to make sense for tournaments because you're probably not going to have Kane or Son. So, yeah, it just lines up for me.
Yeah, Fabianski, first goalkeeper. Well, the only goalkeeper in my original lineup for me. So I agree.
Okay, yeah, nice.
I mean, I think that, like, you have all these guys down here. You have do you think Martinez, do you think Pope, do you think Henderson are going to actually get clean sheets? Probably not. I think Fabianski has a chance to get a clean sheet. Playing at home, West Ham have actually been more defensive than they shown at times last season. So,
and I mean, yeah, I've watched. I think I've watched all the Spurs games, and I don't know, man. For the most part, it's the same old Spurs. They're up and down. Yeah. Sometimes they're like, on the back foot and getting dominated for long periods against lesser teams, and then other times they look decent. So that's just, it's not going to shock me at all if this is 1-0 either way.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. To your point about Tottenham getting a ton of shots on target, you scroll down to our cheat sheet, team conceded stats. Tottenham forced 3.75 saves per match, which is up there with most teams there. So definitely a stat that confirms what we've been talking about. So there you go. That's goalkeeper. Do we have anything else? So I guess before we go, do you want to go with the 6 Man City guys? Do you want to go with the 6 Liverpool guys? What is your first move in tournaments for this one?
I mean, I'd be more likely to go with the City stacks, some different types of City stacks. It's hard to say specifically what to do until I see lineups, but yeah, look for some low owned goals somewhere. But I'll give something specific. Now, I'm not gonna recommend this, but maybe 1 or 2 of you out there, if you play multiple lineups and if you don't mind, you can afford to lose. Don't mind gambling, because I'm gonna do it. And I'm going to lessen my edge just slightly now. But give me some Julian Alvarez if he doesn't start. And you could maybe even play him with Haaland. You could play him with anyone, to be honest. A Haaland first half hat trick. Alvarez comes on and scores 2 in the second at 2%, 1% ownership. Again, not like a recommendation, but I'm going to do it.
So I don't know if I want to say great minds think alike, but AJ Scholes wrote our DraftKings article for today's slate. I threw on a note of his Alvarez. I said, even if he doesn't start, he could be set for around 30 minutes again, which could be enough to take chance on tournaments. So
yeah, you'd like it for this move. I don't want to talk about it too much. We talked about it on that other pod. You'd like him to be a little bit cheaper, but it is in play. I believe it is in play.
This is basically the England.
See,
This is like the England situation.
you also you need to look for other stuff. With you want Grealish to be out. Like you don't want there to be a lot of attacking options on the bench. Like if you ever play a sub like this, first and foremost, you want to be sure that they're going to come on. I mean, you want to be sure that they're going to come on. So like, yeah.
I think it's like 100% chance.
That's enough about that. Yeah, but what I'm going to do is probably have a lot of city stacks, different types of city stacks with some lower owned goal scores or just some cheap goal scores. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, that's what I'm leaning towards at the moment. I do like Arsenal though too, just because I think they're going to be less not popular, like we said, and I don't know. I think they have a little bit more upside than people think. I think this Arsenal team is going to the top. They're already on their way there. I mean, they're already there. But I mean, they're going to continue to get better, and it's not going to be too long before they're challenging for big things. That's what I think.
I agree. I think the Fulham match where they got that win late kind of threw some people off the scent, including me.
They're going to struggle. They're going to, it'll be up and down. They have young players. It's not. There'll be ups and downs, but this team is on an upward trajectory.
I still want to just look at that lineup beforehand, just see what they're doing. We'll see if Tomiyasu starts, kind of a thing. We'll see what happens with the front four, what happens in that defensive midfield position, just things to watch out for. But I think that's all we got. It's a big slate, a lot of teams to talk about, a lot of favorites to talk about. Ryan, as usual, thanks for joining me. And hey, it's already Wednesday. We're going to be back in 2 days to discuss Saturday slate. I think it's a 6-game slate, so that'll be another interesting slate to talk about. But Ryan, thanks for joining me. And before we go, rotowire.com/soccer trial, free 10-day trial. You can get the cheat sheet that we've been using on YouTube and Twitter. Ryan, thanks for joining me, and good luck to everyone.
Thanks, Adam.